Rick Wallace dropping in on you. Look, first of all, I hope that you have had a great weekend, that you are in alignment with your sense of purpose, that you are spiritually, emotionally, and psychologically in the process of healing. I am really pulling for all of us to truly understand what healing is holistically, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it takes, and then to commit ourselves to that. That's immensely important. So much of what we need to do has to be done from a position of wholeness, and that requires us to be committed to being honest with ourselves about who we are and where we're at the current moment. And that goes with me right now. The reason why I'm not doing a live stream on what I would normally be doing today is Monday, and I'll probably do something when I get back home, because today I've committed to really anchoring in and getting some things done. But the reason that I haven't is because I'm on my way to make sure I'm taking care of my health. So I'm headed to see my physician. Then I'm headed to the gym, and I'm taking control of that element of my life that I've kind of gotten away from. That's my commitment moving into 2020. That's not a New Year's resolution. That's a commitment that we won't take that kind of trash and junk into 2020. It makes very little sense to be successful in the things you're passionate about, but literally be allowing yourself to fall apart and break down so that you can't do it at your best. And that's me being transparent. You know, you get so caught up in everything that everybody else needs you to do that you're not taking care of you. That's not a good look. That's not how it works. You've got to be at your best to do that. So I just want to encourage you, if you're not yet participating or joining in and sharing on the 60-day holistic health and wellness and fitness challenge that we're doing through Master Fitness 21 and the Visionetics Institute, definitely hit me up and find out how you can get it done. There's so many ways you can do it. The easiest way is just to email lifechange@rickwallacephd.link. That's the easiest way. And I'll hook you up with the links and everything, or the support team will hook you up with the links and everything else. For those of you who want to work with me, there's a way to get that done, and we'll talk about that at some other time. And if you're really serious about it, you'll find me. People definitely do. Before I get into what I want to talk about, this whole Oprah Winfrey and Russel Simmons thing, I want to talk about the fact that we need your support. The Odyssey Project is doing some remarkable work in the community. Those of you who have followed us for some time know. Those who are unfamiliar can go to the site at the Odyssey Project 21.top and look at the work we've done. Look at everything else. Some of you can watch some of the other videos. Before they took down our primary YouTube channel, there was 1,600 videos up, covering a wide spectrum of issues, offering solutions. That's my thing. Is I'm not just here to talk about what's wrong. I'm here to offer solutions. I put in the work. I put in the work intellectually, emotionally, psychologically. I'm out there physically. My wife does the same thing. My wife is a child molestation and rape survivor, all of which happened before she was the age of 15, starting at age 5. And I played a role in that. That's how we actually met. I was her counselor for a minute. And when she moved on and did, to her next stage of healing, she eventually came back around. We bumped into each other, and I, at that moment, knew her from working with her, and I always knew who she was. I was just giving her time to become what she needed to become, and I told her I wanted to marry her. We never dated. And we put in work. I mean, I can't tell you the work we put in. And, unfortunately, I got so caught up in the work I do in my businesses and the work I do in the community that I kind of let something that used to be so passionate, I used to be so passionate about, and that's my physical health, fail. So I'm working on that. But anyway, we need your support, and the way that you can support us is always going to be in the top paragraph of any video on YouTube. And you can go to our site, and there's a page you can go to give. So that's either way. So let's talk about Oprah. First of all, I haven't cut for Oprah in years. I mean decades. A long time ago, I saw who she was, and I became aware of how the black bourgeoisie and the wealthy elite operate. At a certain level, the vast majority of the wealthy elite that are black are not operating on the interest of black people because their interests change with their wealth positions. Now, we find out that they don't necessarily get the passes and some of the privileges that the white wealthy elite get, because we've seen a few of them take some major hits. But we understand that there's a game to be played, and they're going to play the game based off of their personal interest. And you have to know that someone that is worth more than $1 billion doesn't have the same interests and concerns that someone who is making $50,000 a year does. It just isn't going to happen. They don't even have the same interest that someone that's making $1 million has. So you got to understand how this works. But my problem is not that you're operating in your interest, but that you're specifically targeting black men. It's Russell now. It was R. Kelly a while back. It was someone else that she interviewed. Oh, Michael Jackson. She interviewed the people who were accusing Michael Jackson, and that actually blew up, and they end up getting sued for that one. And I don't know if she was a part of the suit, but I know that Never, whatever the documentary was that took aim at Mike, end up being the grounds for a suit that the Michael Jackson estate won. And let me be very clear here. I'm not advocating for any pedophile. I'm not advocating for anybody that is a predator or violates the sanctity and the rights of women, especially black women. I'm not standing up for anybody, anything. My issue isn't that. Now, I don't know. I've heard some stories about Russell. I've heard specifically and read specifically about the one particular issue that is on the table. My issue isn't in defending Russell. That's something he's going to have to do. And then if I see that he's being wrongfully attacked and that it's not true, I will definitely be a voice, because we don't need our men attacked. I can't speak on that level because I don't have all the evidence. What I can say is I have a problem with Oprah and her crew and team, which includes her partner Gail, going specifically and solely after black men, especially when the people you are closest to have obviously committed much greater atrocities towards women and children, and there's nothing. You know, my thing is, this is where if you're not going to champion the entire cause, you sit down and be quiet and hush. But the fact that she's actually using her platform and her resources and money to go after Russell Simmons, when Harvey Weinstein and the Epstein cat, all these people that we know, I mean, you putting out 25 to 40 million, according to reports that Weinstein has put out to settle some cases that were against him, and Epstein's stuff was so bad and the trough ran so deep that he ended up dead. And we all know that it wasn't suicide. But it is what it is. My issue is, why aren't we having Oprah doing documentaries on them? Why? Because those are the power brokers that keep her in the game. You got to understand where Oprah's door to wealth was opened. And that's, you do that research. When you follow the money, you find out where her loyalties lie. My problem is, what I don't want is, and I think that we're waking up to it, I don't think too many people that follow me, and unfortunately so many of the subscribers that were on the other channel haven't found me yet. It's been a slow process, so if you can share this video, that would be great. But I don't think too many people that follow me are fooled by Oprah, but you got so many people that are literally thinking because she's black and wealthy, she's a plus for black people. And, we have to learn that all skin folk ain't kinfolk, and that all black people don't have the interests of black people at the forefront of what they're doing and how they're thinking. A lot of black people who are wealthy became wealthy by ignoring the needs of their people, by adopting thought processes and principles and ideologies that were not conducive to black empowerment. We have to be aware and cognizant of that truth. That's the beginning of understanding how this thing works. The fact that Oprah is going after Russel Simmons, to me, isn't in itself a problem, except for the fact that there are a bunch of white men that are out there doing that, and that the real reason that she went after R. Kelly, the real reason she went after Michael Jackson, the real reason she's going after Russell Simmons is that there is a concerted effort to make black men the face of sexual deviancy. While it is obviously historically a European issue, a European construct, it is something that they have always been doing, and it's being presented, and the face of this dysfunction and hostility towards children and women is being built up to be black, when the truth of the matter is the real true power brokers behind it are the people who actually own the power, and they don't look like us. So what we've got to be willing to do is truly understand that, and we've got to start applying our emotional, spiritual, financial, collective, and political powers, combining them to do some exceptional and extraordinary things. In the way of standing up for what is right, calling out these black misleaders, and the black misleadership sect or sector or whatever you want to call it is definitely a problem, and we have to see it. And it runs in politics, it runs in business, it runs in media, major in media, and we are responsible as a collective for calling that out. New black media, unapologetically black media, it's going to be us that sit up and call a spade a spade. It's going to be us that sit up and educate our people into lucidity and say, okay, this is what this looks like, but this is what's really going on behind the scenes. The illusions that we've been fed for hundreds of years about how this country was built and how this country operates, and this false sense of morality that everyone rallies to doesn't exist, and that this is what this country does in order to consistently maintain a position of power on a global scale. And these are the people that are oppressed because of this ideology. These are the people who are manipulated, controlled, and taken advantage of. And these are the people who are doing it, and these are the people in the middle who are being used to make it happen. And more than likely, they look like us. And those are the things that we have to be willing to sit up and acknowledge, understand, and do something about. One of our biggest fallibilities is that we don't understand how things work. We don't look into the inner workings of social constructs. We don't look into the inner workings of political behavior. We don't look into the inner workings of banking. We don't look into the inner workings. We just simply like to complain when things aren't going our way, instead of understanding how things work so that we can start working against those mechanisms, so we can start weakening those mechanisms, so that we can start strengthening ourselves in the areas of our weaknesses that are being exploited. These are the things that have to be done. And what we have to do is hold the misleadership, the black misleadership sect. We have to hold them accountable. And we have to literally apply financial, economic, political, and social pressure. And that's something that has to be done. We have to literally strengthen ourselves, educate our children, educate the masses, insulate our inner cities that are vulnerable to policies that are being promoted. Something that I'm going to be coming to you with a little later in the day is how people like Joy Ann Reid are being used to send misinformation to the black community. to redirect the ideas, the thoughts, and the behaviors of the black community to serve the Democratic Party, the Democrats. And so all of this are things that we have to learn. All of this is stuff that has to be understood and researched. We've got to stop allowing the system to literally force us to take aim at the very people who are trying to empower us. What you'll find is, if you look, the people who are really for us, the people who are getting out, putting in the time and the energy and the research, the time and the energy and the teaching, the time and the energy into developing strategies, programs, disciplines, and things that will empower us, are the very people that are being demonized in mainstream as being bots, as being radicals, as being dangerous. And then that is literally leading to our own people turning against us. And what we've got to understand is, if it doesn't sound radical, if it doesn't sound counter system, counter construct, then it's not going to help black people. The system wasn't designed for us to win. The system wasn't designed to empower us. The system wasn't designed to help elevate us. So if it looks like it's complacent with the system, if it's compliant to the system, then it's not serving us. It's going to sound radical if it's going to in any way be empowering. That's something that we're going to have to sit up and understand. We've got to start pushing black love. We've got to start pushing black cohesiveness between black men and black women. We've got to stop buying into and biting on the bait that allows us to join into these collective online open fights with one another. It's simply a sign that they have us where they want us, and we have to deal with our inner issues. Am I saying that there isn't a lot to deal with what's going on between black men and black women? It's absolutely some things that we've got to deal with. There's some things we've got to work on. There's some places that we fail miserably, but we can't air that out and fight about it out in the open. We've got to deal with it and fix it, because here's the thing: neither one of us are going to get anywhere without the other. That's not how this works, and they know this. That's why they put so much energy and effort into destroying the black family. So in closing this back to Oprah, trash, just straight trash. The proof that money cannot refine. It is what it is. She did what she did to get what she wanted, and she has it, and she doesn't really care how that impacts anybody other than the people who are going to help her keep that money and grow that wealth. That's who she is. That's where it's going, and it's going to be that way. And as much fun as I used to have watching the Tom Joyner show, one of the biggest issues I had, that now that Tom is retired, is that he gave these people who were part of this misleadership community and misinformation community, the Sean Kings, the Roland Martins, the Oprah Winfreys, and Joy Reids, got a lot of space on his show feeding BS to the public and giving them popularity and a position and a validation that they did not deserve. We've got to be better than that. We've got to vet our people. We got to vet facts, not emotions. We've got to vet what's really happening, what's causing what. And like, you can watch what's happening now because of the fall of Kamala Harris and her having to bow out of the presidential campaign of something that she was once being named the anointed one, the next version of Obama 2.0, until it started to be exposed that Obama 1.0 really didn't help us, and that she was worse. That her track record, her receipts prove that she did not serve the interests of black people, that she didn't relate to any of her genetic connections to her blackness was not what was driving her. It was so many things that just came to the surface, and they're trying to make it seem now that black people turned on her without cause, and that basically torpedoed her campaign. No, she was not only not willing to serve the interest of blacks, but she also was very arrogant in her stance that she wasn't going to be directly doing anything solely and specific for black people. And so that's what happened. That, this is a new era. There's a new media. There's new access to information. It's harder to hide and redirect people. It's harder to lie to people now. And so things became apparent, and it turned and worked against her. And that's what happened. But Joy Reid is really pushing this whole thing, and I've been working on that, and I'm going to come to you, and I'm going to share with you what I've got on that. But we definitely have to be aware of what's going on. Again, this isn't about defending Russel Simmons. If Russel Simmons did what this young lady said he did, then that he has to answer for that. And he has to be held accountable for that. I'm obviously not caping for R. Kelly, but I'm like, okay, you're going after these black guys, and you got all these other guys over here. My whole thing is, I'm not the kind of person to say, well, okay, since they're getting away with it, let them get. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying anybody that violates a child or a woman needs to be held accountable, and that means everybody. I don't care how much money they got. I don't care how much pushback you can get. If you're really a G about it, if you're really championing something, you're gonna bump up against some people that can cause you some pain and some difficulty and some harm and set up. And I'm nowhere on the level of some of these other people who are going after it and doing it. But I'm pretty sure my channel didn't come down for what they said it came down for, because that wasn't a violation. I'm pretty sure I'm starting to get under some people's skin and get on some nerves. But that's not going to stop me. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing until I take my last breath. I'm going to fight and stand up for my people, and definitely our women, our elderly, and our children. So stay tuned. I got some more stuff coming back at you. On this note, I'm out. Don't forget to support the work we're doing. Click the link. So show some love. I'm out.